She saved her life, you know.
Yes, I know.
I hope she didn't notice that she was behind her.
I know. I hope it wasn't like absolutely intentional. Like, oh.
Bonjour et bienvenue dans le Winx Forever Podcast. La créatrice, animatrice et fan Lola Valentine nous invite à plonger au cœur de l'univers féerique de Winx Club dont elle est fan depuis le début. Que vous soyez fan depuis 2004, que cette série vous évoque quelques souvenirs de votre enfance ou même si c'est la première fois que vous en entendez parler, bienvenue à vous. Ceci est le Winx Forever Podcast.
Hello, fellow Winxers. Welcome back to the Winx Forever Podcast. I'm your host, Lola Valentine. This week on the show, we are continuing our Season 1 rewatch of the original Winx Club series. Each week, we are going through a new episode of Season 1 of Winx Club and comparing the 4Kids English dub with the Ray English Cinelume dub. And I'm so excited because this week, my dear friend Romuald agreed to join us to discuss this rewatch. You probably know him as Romu Magic on Instagram or even the infamous Winx Club France. So Romu, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy.
Oh my gosh. We met probably last year or last year, 2 years ago, maybe on Instagram. And it's been so fun getting to know you and the huge role that you play in the Winx Club community, especially for French Winxers. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's been a long time now.
Right.
15 years this year.
That is absolutely wild. I love that. Well, I love to give the first time guests on the show a chance to let our listeners and our audience get to know them a little bit. So, and this is my first time having someone from France on the podcast too. So that's also exciting.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm the first, yes.
Yes. But yeah, so I would love to get to know a little bit more about you and your Winxer history, if you will.
Yes.
So I would love to know, do you remember the first time that you ever saw Winx Club and what kind of got you into the show?
I'm not sure about the episodes. Maybe it's the one where Bloom's transformed for the first time.
Yes.
But anyway, I remember being shocked in a very good way.
Yes.
And ever since I was little, I've always loved cartoons, magic, and girly stuff.
Yes. All the sparkles.
Yes.
I love it.
So when I saw Winx Club, this mixture of magic, fashion, futuristic technology, everything seems perfect to me in every way. And it was like a wind of modernity in the world of animation.
Oh, yeah.
I think at this time. And the visual aspect is what's attracting me first.
Yeah.
But then what made me want to continue to watch is the story, of course.
Of course.
The mystery around Bloom, find your origin, your way.
Yeah.
Of course, the value. And I fell in love with all this mixed.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Did you have any friends growing up that you used to watch the show with or anyone that kind of shared this experience with you?
No, I think I was the only one boy at the time. But of course, all the girls in the school it was a big thing here in France.
That's so cool to see like how other countries experience Winx Club, because I mean here it was on like a public access television, it was a channel that everyone got, and it was a cartoon block on Saturday morning, so it was accessible in the way that everyone could access it, but it was just a short window of time on Saturday mornings that people could watch it. So so like did it air, like when did it air on TV for you?
I remember the first time was in 2004 in February, but
Okay.
I think it was the Saturday, first day also. First day
Oh, okay.
was yeah, I think. But
Right.
yeah, it was just like you in a French free channel, but also a few months later it was on a paid channel. And on this one, it was all the day, every day,
Man,
every day.
that I wish because
Yeah.
I mean, Winx Club in America did get, as we know, did get passed around to a lot of different,
Hmm.
channels. So it was on, the public channel, like I said, to begin with, and then later on, it kind of got passed to Cartoon Network. Even it was on Cartoon Network
Oh,
like during the day, but it was just rerun episodes. It wasn't new episodes; it was reruns, and it was like right after school. Like that little like block of time, and then also, everyone knows that then it got passed to Nickelodeon and that whole debacle. So
I remember that.
well, I would love to know. I mean, gosh, you have, like you said, been a Winx fan for 15 years now, which, I mean, just wild, such a long time to be a fan of such an iconic show. But I want to know, like, what kept you engaged with the show for so long, and what has kept you around in the fandom for so long?
That's a good question. A lot of things, of course, the fandom, but I don't think it's the first thing to me because, yeah, Winx was a really good, big part of my life. Yeah,
Yeah.
it helped me a lot. So it was like something to escape the reality.
It kind of still is that for me.
Yeah, me too. And I think it's the same for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I would love to know too, what made you want to start Winx Club France? So you run the Winx Club
Oh,
fandom page.
yeah.
So like what made you like decide like this is going to be like a service that I do for the fandom, for the French fandom specifically?
Oh, wow. Yeah, the same. It was at the beginning only for myself. I always love to I don't know how to explain that. When I was a kid, I always had like a notebook and put everything on like information
Yes.
and
Yeah.
a picture. And yeah, I start to have internet in 2006 for the first time. So I
Okay.
discover all this big world of internet, the skyblogs and
Yeah.
everything. So I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
it was like the perfect transition. I think,
Yeah.
and I start to write article, share picture, and yeah, it's with the time it's became a little bit bigger.
Yeah, definitely, and more popular, and
Yeah.
as the French community, the French Winx community, found your blog and your socials. I mean, they you are the French voice of the French Winx Club community, and that's like really cool. And I'm sure something that you don't take lightly, like you know, you campaigning to have the Winx, French soundtracks available for fans is really
Oh my God.
cool. Like you care and you do so much for your French Winx community, which is so
Yeah.
kind, and I love to see what you do and
Thank you.
and the things that you create, and it's just so cool and
Yeah.
inspiring.
Thank you so much.
But also really fun. You work closely with Elisa Roselli, the Queen Fairy herself. Do you want to share like how did that come about? How did you get connected with Elisa? How did all that happen?
It was just like this because when I was a teenager at school, sometimes I used to write to the people who works for Winx, because I
Yes.
want to share the things And I always felt really close to her because of her lyrics. Yeah,
Yes,
they are so special to me. And so, yeah, I started to talk with her on Messenger. And I think she saw me grow up a little bit on Facebook. And one day, it was 3 or 4 years ago, I don't remember, I contacted her because I wanted to do something for her, because I felt like she gives me a lot of good vibes and energy with her song, And yeah, it was like I need to do something for her, and I know that I like to create stuff to give visibility to things that I like.
Yeah.
I thought that people should know her better.
Yes.
Yeah, so I asked her if she want me to help her with social media, because she's not tech now. So I started to make a YouTube channel to put all her works, and it was the beginning of the project that we made really cool. After.
Yeah, and I loved, the Dreams Media interviews that you guys did on her YouTube channel. Like that, those were so thorough and so fun to watch. And it's just been really cool, like, to see all the content that you've been able to collaborate with her on. So yeah, thanks for just taking a shot, and being like, this is something that I want to do, and going for it, like, I love that.
Thank you. Yes, this project was like very important to me. Yeah, I wanted to do this big interview.
Well, wow. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your Winxer history with us. We're going to take a quick break, but before we do, I do have some rapid fire questions that I like to ask all of my guests. So are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. Let me collect your thoughts.
Yes.
You're good. Here we go. Rapid fire questions. Yes. Who is your favorite Winx member?
Bloom. But course. Also Musa.
Ah, yes. I mean, music, yes. What's your favorite season?
Without hesitation, the first one.
Who's your favorite specialist and or male warrior?
Brandon. He's so funny and he's hot.
What's your favorite movie?
The Secret of the Lost Kingdom. It's correct so answer. Beautiful and emotional to me. Yeah, yes. The perfect ending.
Yes, the correct
ending. And the
ending.
soundtrack. I mean, the soundtrack, please.
Iconic. Your favorite romantic relationship?
Flora and Ilya. They are so romantic.
And then favorite villain?
I see in the first season, because she was. Yeah.
Yes.
But also Voltor. Voltor for you?
Baltor for me, yes.
I remember.
Yes, you did remember. Yeah, for some reason, I don't know why, that is, yes, the name that was given to Valtor in the 4Kids dub, which I will never understand, but that's okay. I guess I don't need to. All right, that was the end of the rapid fire question. That wasn't so bad. You did great. Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we are going to dive into this week's rewatch episode, season 1, episode 9, which is one of my favorite episodes of all time. So don't go anywhere.
Vous écoutez le Winx Forever Podcast.
Winx Forever Podcast presents Magic's High, an original story inspired by the universe of the Winx Club series created by Eugenio Straffi. The City of Magics, capital of the magical dimension and most notably home to 3 of the most prestigious private academies for young fairies, witches, and heroes. But what you probably didn't know is that it is also home to Magic's Public High School, the lesser-known school of the magical dimension's capital city. At Magic's High, magical beings from all across the diverse city attend classes for general magic training, history, and tactics. This is where our story begins. Magic's High Chapter 1, Welcome to Magic's, premieres April 1st, 2022 on Wattpad, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. For updates, behind-the-scenes content, and a look further into the magical universe of Magic's High, follow along on our social media. The theme for Magic's High is the song Reflections by Comet off of their debut 2021 album, We're Going to Be Okay. All right, guys, and we're back with Romuald Magic. He is going to be dissecting the season 1, episode 9 rewatch with us this week. And so let's just dive right into it. So this week, like I said, is season 1, episode 9. The title of the episode, it changes from dub to dub, which in the Cinelume Right English dub, it is titled Betrayed. In the 4Kids dub, it is titled Spelled. And then, Romu, would you want to say the Italian and the French titles?
Yeah, of course. In Italian is Il Tradimento di Riven, and in French is La Trahison de Riven, which means Riven's betrayal.
Ooh, fancy. Which we'll get into this, later, going through the episode, but it's funny that all of them are pretty much the same. I think it's funny that the Cinelume dub just shortens it to just Betrayed, and then the 4Kids dub just entirely is different, because of the changes that they made in the episode. So it is called Spelled because, not only is Riven spelled by Darcy, in this episode, but also one of the other Winx members has a spell on her. So, ooh. And the synopsis reads, the mysterious voice that saved Bloom at Cloud Tower continues to torment Bloom in her dreams. Torment. I think that's a little harsh.
Yeah.
In this episode, the voice discloses its face, Daphne, one of the 9 legendary nymphs of Magic's. Musa discovers that her crush, Riven, is going out with Darcy, the Tricks, and the Winx and Specialists get into a fight with the Witches of Cloud Tower in downtown Magic's. Ooh. So, yeah, it's an exciting episode. There's a lot to cover. But I want to know just, before we dive into it, how different from the English dubs and even the Italian dub is the French version that you grew up with?
Okay. The first season were translated into French with the Italian versions, and our authors choose to adapt to a language to make it more catchy.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, but this is no longer the case since season 5 here.
Yes.
And yeah, I have the impression that it's according to the artistic choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, the producer and the studio should not translate, but they should adapt according to the language.
Yes, absolutely.
Sometimes they do. I know that for
Right.
Witch, Witch.
Yes, Witch.
Of course.
Love Witch.
Yeah, me too. The channels ask. Yeah, they asked for the French version to use words that young people in France use.
Actually use. Yes.
Yeah, and the result was really great. The thing I appreciate the most with the 4Kids dub is that they really took the liberty of adapting the dialogues.
Yes.
And yeah, because the original English version is very literary. It's not catchy at all. That's my point of view. It makes interaction boring.
Yeah.
My feeling. And also the voice are, I think they're not fit the characters at all. Yeah, maybe it's not the best choice. And also I can understand why you prefer the 4Kids dub and not because you grew up with.
Yeah, and like and that's why I've been like adamant and I've been curious too, and thank you for sharing that, because I knew that other dubs could not be this bad as the Cinelume dub. You know what I mean? Like Winx Club would not have a fandom if if all of the dubs across the world were this bad. So like that makes me happy to know that like not only, you know, did other countries and other dubs like take the liberties, not as many probably as the 4Kids dub, but you know, but you know, at least adapted the dialogue to make it sound modern and like something that modern day kids would say, you know. So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's just artistic choice, I think. But at this time now, it's not the same. I think the dubbing studio, I don't know if maybe it's because of the production, they asked to translate exactly with the English one and stay really close. But yeah, all the animated show now in France is like this. Wow. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's wild.
Yeah, it's not catchy.
Yeah. And you know, what a shame, because you know, it, like you said, it is the creative choice and the artistic choice of like, you know, taking a dub that you're trying to adapt for a different audience and doing just that, you know, making it, you know, appeal to the audience that you're trying to make it for. So yeah, really interesting. Oh wow, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, but for the actors, they are really, really good.
Oh yeah.
I think the French version is one of the best, and not because only I'm French.
Right. Yeah. No, we all have our biases, but there is something to be said, you know, just for pure talent on the voice actresses part, you know, and across the dubs. You know, I love the German dub, you know, because of one, their iconic theme song is so good, but also, you know, like it is cool to see how the different dubs across the world you know, approach it and how they act it out. And I love it. I love it so much. And that's one of the beautiful things about this community. I've gotten the opportunity to hear so many different versions of Winx Club, like, you know, different dubs in different languages that I'd never heard before. You know, I've got Dutch friends that are like, the Dutch dub is so cool, and they'll send me clips, and you know, it's really cool to see the differences. And like, you know, like Dutch Icy and 4Kids Icy, you know, like they have like that same edgy rawness, you know, and like it's just it's really cool to like see the differences and hear them too. Was this the first time that you ever saw the 4Kids dub?
No, actually, I saw few episodes at the time, but I didn't understand anything. And I didn't understand also why the songs and everything was different.
It's so different, yes.
But I knew because we got the video games and also some episode with season 3 at the time, I remember.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. And I start to watch it last year, I think. And I thought it was really, really, really great. Yeah, I really like this version.
That makes me so happy. Like, it's been really cool for me to like introduce, you know, all of my European friends to like the 4Kids dub, because a lot of them haven't seen it yet. So I'm glad that you like it and that you enjoy it. But with that being said, let's get into the episode scene by scene. So the episode actually opens up with Bloom tossing and turning in her bed at it's nighttime. Flora goes into Stella's room, wakes up Stella, and tells her that Bloom is talking in her sleep again, which, like, I don't see how this is Stella's problem, but, like, like, girl, why are you coming into this girl's room and waking her up? Like, this is your roommate. This is your problem.
Flora.
Oh, Flora, girl. But both of them return to Flora and Bloom's room, where Bloom is having one of her like prophetic dreams with Daphne. And Flora and Stella, not creepy at all, but are watching Bloom toss and turn in her sleep. And, you know, just at the foot of her bed. Like, excuse me? But it was really funny because in like a fit of panic, Flora is like, should we tell somebody? Should we go get somebody? Is this bad? Should we go tell Griselda? No, we shouldn't go tell. Yes, she doesn't know what to do. And then Stella is like, come on, woman, snap out of it. Like, if you, and so they wake up Bloom because they're clearly like yelling, like not even 5 feet away from her. And they wake up Bloom and she's like, why are you guys in my room? Like, I'm trying to sleep. Like, girl, you're not trying to sleep. You're over here like tossing, turning, transforming in your sleep.
Wow. This was so amazing. The ideas that a fairy can transform into her sleep.
Yes, I love that. And too, like, this is the second time that we see Daphne in Bloom's dreams. The first time was in the Day of the Rose episode, and she was woken up by Flora. Mm-hmm. And again, Flora is of course worried about her because girl is like several nights in a row now just talking in her sleep and now transforming, like something that probably doesn't seem like the norm for fairy folk. But it's really funny. In the 4Kids dub, this scene was adapted very heavily. There was no Flora didn't go into Stella's room to get Stella. Stella definitely didn't grab Flora by like, her shirt and like there wasn't like, that kind of altercation. But then Flora makes the comment that when fairies, transform in their sleep like this, it means that their powers are evolving. And that kind of gives like, this overarching scope of how the episode is going to go, like, yeah. And I love too that like the episode also, obviously it shows the exterior of Althea, and it's nighttime, but the dream sequence to me is a lot more ominous because Daphne doesn't reveal who she is. She doesn't say, I'm Daphne, whatever. She is just still so mysterious. We don't know who she is really.
I like this so much.
It's so good.
Your version did the right thing. Oh, also I noticed that the 4Kids, the studio, they add when Bloom is in her bed, because in our version she has the cover on her. Not in your version. Yeah, she's like is completely like doesn't have her cover on, and she's like just transforming, and it's like, oh, okay, and in the original version it's not the same. When they come into the room, they saw her with the cover, and the scene just after she don't have the cover, so
so it doesn't make sense. Yeah,
it's one of the things I really appreciate with the 4Kids version.
Yeah.
A correct tiny thing like this.
So the next day, the girls are walking around Althea, and Bloom is, talking to Tekna about her dream while Tekna is helping her analyze it. So Tekna has her little Tekna gadget that has a little like a robot ladybug that like flies around Bloom and like kind of connects to her subconscious, which is really cool. And so she's like trying to help Bloom analyze digitally like what her dream is, like who's this person in her dream. It's basically like a reverse Google image search, but like for your mind. And shout out Tekna for coming in clutch with this for Bloom. Tekna explains that this woman in her dreams is trying to like give her a message, like clearly like she keeps coming to you in your dreams, like she is trying to tell you something. But then of course Stella interrupts and tells Bloom that she is blowing the situation out of proportion, and that it obviously comes off across as insensitive to Bloom, and she gets aggravated and walks away. It's really funny. The scene in the 4Kids dub, again, very different. But it also, the way that it is edited in the 4Kids dub, it kind of alludes to something not being quite right with Stella, because she is being majorly rude, like such a rude friend to Bloom. Well, pretty much to everyone in the group. She keeps like saying these like little like mean things, In the Rye English Cinelume dub, of course, they brush it off as like, oh, well, Stella didn't get enough sleep last night. It's like, no, like that is not Stella. Stella does not just, I don't know. Well, my Stella doesn't. I don't know if like this is like, like Stella's just overtly rude like this. Like, I don't see that, like, I don't think that that's like canon, that like Stella's just like a rude person. She might be a little, abrupt. She might be a little brutally honest sometimes, but she's not mean.
Yeah, no, she's not. She's not like the one in Fate, the Winx Saga.
Exactly. Maybe like Fate the Winx Saga's writers like only saw this episode and was like, okay, Stella, got it.
No, she don't do it in purpose.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's funny when Stella interrupts Bloom in the 4Kids dub. Bloom just was like, well, I'm not gonna stand here while you throw your little princess tantrum, which I thought was like so freaking cute. I love the dialogue and like, Bloom standing up to Stella and like being the, feisty redhead that Bloom is. She's like, this is dumb, I'm leaving, so. This
scene was really different to me because I grew up with the original version. So I thought that Stella was really, really rude and I didn't recognize her. And it was maybe a little bit too much for me.
Too harsh? Yeah.
Much. But it was interesting.
Right. Yeah. It's really intriguing because you're like, why is Stella being really different, I also like in the 4Kids dub that Tekna calls her little beetle a psychic beetle. It's a psychic beetle, and it's helping create a digisketch of Bloom's dream. And so then Musa's like, isn't DJ Sketch the guy that spins top 40 tunes? Like, as in like a disc jockey, like a DJ. And then Bloom is like, no, it's like a digital rendering of a description. And it's just, I don't know, it's just really cool, like them explaining the magic technology that Tekna has. Because like you said, one of the things that attracted you to the show was that it had those sci-fi elements. It had those, it combined so well the sci-fi and the fantasy. And this is one of those moments that I'm just like, it's iconic. It's mind blowing,
Absolutely. Si cet épisode du Winx Forever Podcast vous plaît, suivez l'émission sur votre plateforme de streaming préférée afin d'être tenu informé des prochaines sorties.
So Bloom storms off and heads to the library where she hopes to find out more about Daphne, the nymph that's been visiting her in her dreams. When she goes to the library, she asks Miss Barbatea, who is the librarian at Althea, if she can help her find a book. And Barbatea's like, why are you asking me when you can literally go look it up yourself? Like,
yeah. It's normal, girl.
So funny. So when Bloom asks for, a book about Daphne, she originally gets like an incorrect book. And then she gets a book that like actually tells her about Daphne when like chaos just ensues, because she begins to read about Daphne, but then all of these books from like all corners of the library surround her. And like, it's so, it's crazy. Clearly this doesn't happen a lot because Barbatea is like freaked out. She's like, I need to go get somebody, And so Bloom obviously can't, she's like stuck in this vortex of books flying around her, and she is saved ultimately by Faragonda, who comes in and is like, there's some kind of magical disturbance in here, like, you know, what is happening. And even the books from the restricted area were trying to come out of the vault, which was crazy, because that was what like set Barbatea off, was like, what is happening?
I really like this part of your version too. It's really different.
Yeah?
Yeah, they talk about, I don't remember if in this part, but they talk about evil or...
there were dark forces at work.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's when Faragonda tells...
In this part?
Yeah. It's at the end when she tells Bloom to, like, you know, scurry along, and she tells Barbatea to close the library, and Barbatea's like, what? You know, like, what do you mean close the library? She's like, well, there's clearly dark forces here, like at work. And so
I like this.
It's ominous. It's, you know, like mysterious, you know, like, what do you mean dark forces? Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. we don't have this in our version.
Yeah, she just tells Barbatea in the original version to clean up the mess without magic, right? Or something like that. Yeah.
So she's like, without magic? What do you mean?
Yeah.
How?
I think that's so funny. Like, whenever like magical beings are told something to do to do something without magic, they're all like,
yeah.
For why?
In French, it was funny. I remember the way she played, the way she acts. Barbatea.
Very dramatic.
Yeah, I'm going to do this.
Oh, that's so funny. I do think that it was funny that, you know, Bloom being in the library, she acts almost like it was her first time ever in the library, but it wasn't, because in Mission to Cloud Tower, you know, she was in the library to research Stella's ring. And so when Barbatea was like, go use the library catalog, she was like, a catalog? Like, girl, what did you use when you were researching Stella's ring? Like, how did you find that book?
Yeah. It's like this. It's magic.
No. Yes. Yeah. Yes. You literally, that's what I love, is like any like answer, you know, that we are to a question we have could just simply be like answered with magic. Yeah. Like, magic.
Oh, it's not. It's not a mistake, it's magic.
It's just magic. But while Bloom is, you know, off disturbing evil forces in the library, all the other girls are back at the dorm, and Stella is, you know, over here giving everyone crap. Like, she's just going down the line and just like...
It's so funny. I really like this.
So funny. So they're hanging out in Musa and Tecna's dorm, and they're arguing over Stella's behavior, and Stella starts to tease Musa about Riven. Like, yo, sore subject. Like, please don't. But as usual, 4Kids dub did change a lot of this dialogue from the Cinelume version and the original version. So it's funny because in the 4Kids version, Stella, they're not discussing like how rude Stella was to Bloom and stuff. They're actually discussing Stella's like dishing out fashion advice to people. Yeah. You know, like it's very funny.
Tecna also.
Yes, Tecna also.
I love my clothes.
Tecna gets a ricochet shot, like, just, you know, like, Stella's over here like, you know, Musa, lose the pigtails, acquire some better denim, and don't forget makeup. The right mascara can do absolute wonders, even get Riven to call you. And
she's so...
it's so funny. And then she's like, listen... Tecna chooses clothes for their fireproof quality, but Timmy still crushes on her. And, like, first of all, what a burn. Second, like, just absolutely savage. Like, I love it.
So funny. Yeah, me too. Completely different also.
Yeah. And, like, I can't remember what Stella says exactly in the original version, but in the 4Kids version, when Musa gets upset and runs away, it's because Stella was like, but Riven might be with Darcy, you know, and she's like, so what? I don't care. Yeah. And it was just very like insensitive on Stella's part, clearly, and very out of character for her, because she does care about her friends, and she's not the type of person to say all of these mean things, you know, no matter what Cinnaloom might have you believe. So it is, you know, it is this moment where, you know, Musa gets upset because Stella's like, well, Riven is now with Darcy, and, you know, you don't have a chance with them anyway, and stuff like that. And it's just it's so sad, you know? And so
she was in a bad mood, Stella, maybe.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So Musa heads off to Magic. She catches a bus to Magic's when Bloom, you know, runs into her in the quad. And clearly Stella is not too far behind her. And it was so funny that, like, Stella runs into Bloom. Like, Bloom, like, didn't see Stella. Stella didn't see Bloom, and they, like, collide. And Bloom's like, what has gotten into you today? Like, why are you this way? And in the 4Kids dub, this is why... This is when Stella figures out why she's been so rude. She said that a senior student at Althea had cast a mood swing spell on her.
Oh,
so
I don't remember that.
Yeah, so that kind of lends to the title of the episode as well. You know, of like Riven is spelled, Stella is spelled. You know, like it's perfect. It's so good.
Oh,
yeah. So Bloom is like, what does that do? And Stella's like, it makes you way rude. I have to go apologize to Musa. And she's like, I have to go tell her I didn't mean it. And so, you know, they miss Musa. She gets on the last bus of the day, which Stella mentions. And Bloom's like, so what did you say to her? And Stella's like, I don't know, but I'm sure it was awful. And Bloom's like, yeah, I'm sure it was. Like Bloom, like 4Kids Bloom is so sassy, and was Bloom this sassy in the French version?
Not too much.
Okay, interesting.
But yeah, but it's something that I really like with your Bloom.
Yes, yeah, I know, and it's funny because it's like, yeah, it is like the 4Kids Bloom. I've noticed in the original version she is very like the Mary Sue trope. Do you know what that means?
No.
Mary Sue.
Mary Sue.
Mary Sue is like a term, like an American term, like a goody two shoes. Like, you know, in the Cinnaloom dub, she says, oh, "Good heavens" a lot, and it's like, please stop.
Yes.
You know, so it's like
Okay.
You know, very like goody, like,
yeah,
it's very sweet and like to a fault and stuff like that.
No, we don't have this in the French version.
Yeah, so exactly. So I feel like Bloom is, you know, canonly very feisty, very, you know, headstrong, and yeah, so I feel like that is more the Bloom that everyone else knows, and the Cinnaloom version is like
boring.
Yeah, boring. But it's funny to end this scene. Stella is like, you know, the spell could come back, and Bloom mentions, "Were you giving the seniors fashion advice again?" And Stella's like, "How did you know?"
My God, I don't remember that part.
Yeah, so it was like, because Stella was giving seniors unwelcome fashion advice at Althea, they put a mood swing spell on her to get back at her, and it's just so funny. Like, I love it's such a good like magic school moment. Like, of course, like other students would cast a spell on another student, and you know, and like wreak havoc like that. Like it's so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very different than the Rye English dub of take on why Stella was so cranky because she didn't get a lot of sleep the night before because of Bloom.
Yeah, for the French version, I like to say that maybe she was in a bad mood this day.
Yeah, and which makes sense because I mean, if Flora woke her up in the middle of the night to, you know, to watch Bloom sleep, weird.
We have something here.
Yeah, exactly.
We have something.
Exactly. So yeah, that makes sense. But like, yeah, them saying that she was spelled is chef's kiss. Perfect. You are listening to the Winx Forever podcast. So meanwhile, in Downtown Magic's, Musa is, sulking, being a little sad girl, in Downtown Magic's when she happens upon a cafe where all of the Cloud Tower witches are hanging out at. And she something catches her eye in the window of the cafe, and she sees Darcy with Riven. Completely catches her off guard. Not what she was, because she literally just left Althea because she was upset about Stella saying she didn't have a chance with Riven. So her seeing this is probably just like, cherry on top of just ultra bad day,
Totally.
But so Musa spying on Darcy and Riven in the cafe, this is where we see that Darcy clearly enchants Riven, like not just with her good looks and everything, but like with her magic, casts a spell on him, and convinces him to basically, they're now dating or whatever. She can use him for all of his, their evil bidding, whatever. And this is all, according to their plan, basically. But Darcy, and Riven hanging out, in the cafe, but Icy and Stormy are nowhere to be found because they catch Musa spying on Darcy. And Musa's like, I couldn't care less about what Darcy is doing, whatever. So they kind of get into this little confrontation when Musa slaps Icy in the face. What?
Yeah. When I was a kid, I wasn't shocked by this, but now I can understand also why maybe they take the decision to change it, because
right.
Yeah.
As
an adult, okay, but
right. But as a kid, if I would have seen that, I would have been like, okay, cool. It's just cool to slap people when I'm angry.
Normal,
no, it's not.
No.
Yeah.
But it was iconic.
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure. Such an iconic movie.
It's iconic.
And it's funny because in the 4Kids version, Icy and Musa are the same voice actress, Lisa Ortiz. So yeah. So
really?
That interaction, yeah.
Wow.
So
and you don't have this.
And I don't have this in the 4Kids version. No, 4Kids took out the slap in the face, and instead Musa cast a spell on Icy, which the slap is iconic, don't get me wrong, but I kind of do enjoy that, the 4Kids did take into consideration that they are fairies. They have magic. Of course they would use some kind of, spell to defend themselves. So instead of slapping Icy, she cast a spell on her that made this enormous wart on her face appear, which is so gross. I also thought it was funny in the 4Kids dub when Musa happens upon the cafe, that you can overhear one of the witches discussing potions or whatever. And
yes,
one of the witches says, yes, she says, forget the cauldron. I only use microwavable potions. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I think we miss good stuff like this in our version.
Yeah, because they do take into consideration the different stereotypes of witches and of fairies, and they kind of introduce these new ideas to modernize them, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So Icy kind of invokes a whole all-out war on Musa. So all of the Cloud Tower witches start to chase her down, magics, which is so terrifying. Excuse me, you're just gonna gang up on this poor little fairy? There's 20 or 30 something of you, and there's only one of her. And then she runs up to Riven, and Riven's like, I'm with Darcy now. I'm like, excuse me?
Yeah, that was really rude.
So rude. Wow. So that, this episode obviously plays into the title of the original, Riven's betrayal. But, which, like, we've been known, we've been known that, like, Riven is low down, good for nothing, like, maybe not Musa, but, like,
yeah.
But, like, this is when, like, Musa is, like, finally, realizing, like, oh, this guy is kind of bad news,
Yeah. Run, girl. Yeah.
Run, girl, run, literally, because these witches are after you. But also away from Riven. Back at Althea, the girls are waiting to get picked up by the specialist because they'd missed the last bus of the day. And they are waiting for the specialist to go find Musa in downtown Magix. And they don't really know, like, the danger that Musa's in yet. I can't remember in the original, but I know in the 4Kids version, they're like, oh no, that's not good because the Cloud Tower witches hang out downtown every Wednesday.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, they didn't know in the Cinelum dub.
Yeah. Like they had no idea, and Bloom's like, oh, like that's not good. Like how fast can we get there? And then Brandon with blonde hair. Yes, Brandon with blonde hair. Brandon with blonde hair says, like, oh, traffic shouldn't be too bad right now, and we can take the hover pool lane. Which, do you know what that means?
No.
So you guys probably have these in France, but they might be called something else. So in America, we have the HOV lane, which is like a carpool lane. Mm-hmm. So like if you have more than one person in your car, you can use that lane to get around traffic faster.
Okay.
So so this is what the 4Kids dub is alluding to, like this like hover pool lane and HOV lane, which is very funny because they have obviously a hovercraft, but every car in Magix is a hovercraft. But a hover pool lane could be like them carpooling, like more than one person in a vehicle, easier to get around. Yeah, so that for my non-American like listenership, that is, if that didn't make sense to you, I hope that now makes sense. One other thing in the 4Kids dub, and I'm sorry, I'm like gushing over the 4Kids dub's dialogue, but like it's so good. In that scene, in the establishing shot, we can hear Stella criticizing Flora's outfit. Yes. She's like, Flora, do you own anything 21st century? And Flora's like, what?
I remember.
And then Stella's like, when the boys get here, play it cool. Like we only called them because we needed a ride.
My God.
And Flora's like, that is exactly why we called them.
Wow. So funny.
It's so funny. And then we get this really kind of unusual moment in the animation, because when Stella sees Brandon, she has these cute little heart eyes.
Yeah.
Like we don't see a lot of that like very like anime like style. Like this is one of the only instances that I can think of that happens. Maybe like it happens later on in the show with like Kiko or like, more side characters, but never with like a main character, like those little like animated heart eyes. And I love that. I love that shot. I wish that there was a little more of that in the season.
Yeah,
actually.
Me too. It's like a touch of manga animation.
Yes.
I like it.
It's so cute. It's so cute. Enjoying Winx Forever Podcast? Be sure to follow the show on your favorite streaming platform so that you're notified when new episodes are released. But the Winx and the Specialist make it downtown in the nick of time because Musa is obviously still running from the Cloud Tower witches when she gets to a dead end, and the witches begin to corner her. But then, the Winx and Brandon and Sky and Timmy show up just in time to help her, which obviously a huge all-out battle in downtown Magix just ensues. And Stormy Stormy knocks out Flora. Stella is being cornered by Darcy, but then also Darcy goes after Musa, which I think is so funny that in the second season, Stormy and Musa have beef.
Yeah.
Why do Stormy and Musa have beef? It should be Darcy and Musa.
Yeah.
They dated the same guy.
They decided to change. I don't know. Yeah, but I like this.
Yeah, it's like it's this all-out battle. I love. I've been kind of pointing out like these uncharacteristic, like unusual pairings with different characters, and so one of the unusual pairings for different characters in this episode that I noticed was when Brandon Sky with brown hair goes to help Musa. And he like saves Musa from Darcy, which I think was such a great moment for those, because you never see those two characters interacting together.
It's true.
Yeah, and in the 4Kids dub, Musa's like, thanks for the assist, and then Brandon's like, Sky with brown hair is like, go help Stella, and so Musa goes to help Stella when all that happens. This battle, there's so much going on. Yes.
I love it.
Truly.
It's one of the best.
It really is like one of the best like battle scenes that we get. And like the little alley battle in the second episode is nothing compared to this all out war, like it is.
It was something.
Yes. Yeah. I love it. It's hilarious because Icy and Stormy are kind of like facing off with Flora and Bloom.
My God, poor Flora.
Poor Flora. She's just like a punching bag. Like,
and she's like a drama queen. Like, my God, I love this episode so much.
It's the best episode, truly. Like, the way that Bloom too just absolutely just lets Flora get zapped by Stormy. I'm like, Bloom, what the hell, man? Like, what are you doing?
She saved her life,
Yes, I know.
I hope she didn't notice that she was behind her.
I know. I hope it wasn't like absolutely intentional. Like, let me just, Poor Flora. Like, I want to do a compilation of like every time Bloom was a bad friend. Yes. Like, that would be the top of the list.
No, please. Don't do that. People don't like her, so if you do that, you give a reason to hate her.
That's true. Yeah. Bloom gets a bad rap enough. That's so freaking funny. Another unusual character pairing in this episode was Stella and Tekna, when Stella goes and saves Tekna from being engulfed in ice by Icy. Yeah. And like Tekna and Timmy are there, and like Timmy's trying to help Tekna, but obviously Stella, comes and like, blocks Icy's second attack on them, which is so iconic. It's so good.
This child was...
Yes.
I don't have the words.
It's speechless. Like, it's so good. While that is happening, Bloom is facing off with Stormy, obviously, like, because she just zapped Flora, so she's got to get Stormy back. But then at the same time, so Bloom is fighting Stormy, Flora is passed out on a roof somewhere. Icy is ganging up on Stella and Timmy and Tekna.
Yeah, I like this.
Musa is about to get absolutely crushed by a bunch of hover cars that Darcy has hovering above her, like just about to like destroy her.
Wow.
And so Bloom catches eye of this and is like, I've got to go help my friend. Yeah. And Stormy gets in her way. Is like, you can't help her. She's donezo. Like, say goodbye to your dumb little friends. When Bloom just absolutely just overcome with rage. Like, love it. Yes. Love to see Bloom this way. Like, she, her little like,
control.
Yes, just girl, like let it out, and then this is very, very, very important to the season, because this is when Stormy is like, Icy, check your crystal, like check your vacuum, because this is the girl that we've been looking for. This is the power. And so Bloom lets out this huge, enormous, just fit of rage, like energy blast that engulfs the whole part of the city that they're in, which I don't know how she didn't destroy, like, collateral damage, you know what I mean? Like, how does she not destroy that whole city block? Right. Magic City is immune to, like, nothing else is immune to the dragon fire except Magic City. Riven, gathers Darcy and all the witches retreat, but Icy is like so stoked because now they know who has the power that they've been searching for. And so they're all kind of recuperating in the guy's ship going back to Althea, and they're all asking Bloom, like, how did you do that? And Bloom's like, I have no idea. I don't know. Like, I just got here. Like, I don't even know who I am. This scene, obviously, again, dialogue was changed in the 4Kids dub. Because in the original version, Stella is like going over like how she was right about Riven and Musa, and how she was right about, Tekna and Timmy, and right about, whatever. And it's so funny because then, when she's like, and I was right about you, Bloom. And she's like, what about me? And she almost completely spilled the beans on, Bloom having a crush on Brandon with blonde hair. And it was just like, nothing. And then they all laugh because clearly they probably knew exactly what she was talking about, and it's like, Stella, like, love her to death, but she is not the best at keeping secrets.
Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh. So funny. But in the 4Kids dub, I love, love, love the dialogue here because, Bloom is like, I don't know where that energy blast came from. And then Musa's like, well, whatever it was, let's give a big loud shout out to our girl Bloom, because she's, really cool and like street like that. But, and then Stella's like, I shout out to have her change her outfit and put on lipstick. Like, you just absolutely dissing her. Like, clearly the spell came back and she's back to being very critical Stella. And, Musa's like, does anyone know how long these mood swing spells can last? And
I love it.
It's so funny. And Stella's like, Musa, that one shoulder look is so last century. Did the 4Kids script writers like forget that Stella's Magic Winx outfit is also a one shoulder look? Like, you're criticizing something that you literally wear every time that you transform, but it's fine. But Musa mentions that, even if Stella is under a mood swing spell, that she is like getting very annoyed with her, and that if she doesn't stop, then she's threatening to place a counter spell on Stella to make her, walk back everything that she's been saying, all the rude things that she's been saying. And Stella's like, if like you wouldn't dare, of course this is the spell talking. She's still, talking under the influence of this spell. And she's like, I'm a princess and I expect to be treated like one. I can't be treated like an average non-princess, pointing to Tekna. And she goes, or an earth girl. And she points at Bloom. And Bloom's like, please don't start with me. Like, I'm exhausted. Like, I'm just so tired of you. And Stella's like, Earth is like, ew.
I love it.
When Flora, my girl Flora, I love Flora so much. And I think that Flora in the fandom, like, really, like, gets kind of dismissed for being, like, very quiet and, like, kind of, like, reserved. But honestly, like, rewatching season 1, she is feisty.
Yes.
She is great. I love her.
Yes, she is.
Like, No.
Yeah,
Flora...
It's after.
Yes.
But like the others. But yeah,
right. Yeah.
I remember this interaction with Stella. I think it's in this episode. Right in front of. Yeah.
Yes. But in the 4Kids dub, Flora casts the counter spell that Musa alluded to casting on Stella. And so this makes, obviously, Stella like say the opposite of the rude things that she was saying to all the Winx members. So she instead starts like giving a bunch of compliments out, which is very funny. And like it was almost like she couldn't stop saying, you know, good things because of the spell that Flora cast, which is just a cute little end to, you know, this episode. And that is the end of the episode. So yeah,
Already.
is there isn't that wild? like there's this episode is so action packed, like just things happening so fast. Like
a lot of things.
So much. Like I even like when we finally get to the Battle of Magics, like not Battle of Magics, but the Battle in Magics, because the Battle of Magics is very different, very later on in the show. But when we do finally get to the battle with the witches and magics, like I forget all about, like, you know, gosh, so much happened in the first of the episode too. Like Bloom with Daphne, Bloom in the library, Farragonda saying that we need to close the library because of bad things were happening. Like there's so much happening in this episode. I love it.
So much information, so much things. Yeah.
Pivotal moments.
That's why I love this episode.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I really like it because it's a mix of everything. You have information, you have the conflict between the girls, so you can know a little bit the characters, you know.
Yes.
You have the and this battle. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
It's
the
perfect mix, and I wish they could do the same with a lot of maybe more episodes. But.
Yeah, I know, me too. It's really interesting thinking about the things that we know now about the season, obviously rewatching it, how long it took the Tricks to finally, you know, corner Bloom to get the Dragonfire, because this is episode 9. You know, this is when they discover, like 9 episodes is very early on in the season compared to when they actually do finally corner Bloom to steal her power. Spoiler alert, if you've never seen, you know, season 1 of Winx Club, that is a huge spoiler, but I don't feel too bad because it has been out for 18 years. So, but like to think about, like, yeah, like they took their sweet time, you know, like formulating the most foolproof plan. You know, obviously they try a couple of times and they fail, you know, throughout season 1, but they finally get it right, you know, near the end of season 1, and they, you know, ultimately do that. But it's crazy to think, like, yeah, this is only episode 9. Yeah. And they found out that Bloom has the power that they want. And so now they've got to come up with what to do. What's their next move, you know? So now we can talk about, you know, some of the major events and even share some fun facts comparing the dubs. Obviously, major event, Musa catches Riven with Darcy. They start dating, whatever. Darcy puts a spell on Riven. And then the probably the most major event is that, and we were just talking about this, that Icy Darcy and Stormy discover that Bloom has the Dragon Flame, and that is what they've been after. So I feel like we've you know, shared a lot of the differences between the dubs. I did think that it was funny in the Cinnaloom dub that when Flora went to go wake up Stella, Stella kind of woke up on her own saying, like, I would have recognized your perfume anywhere.
Yes.
I thought that was very Stella. Like, that, yes, that is Stella. Like, they got that right.
So Stella.
Which is hilarious because in the Hallowinx episode in season 2, that is how Stella in the 4Kids dub, I don't know if this is the same for the Cinnaloom dub, but that is how Stella recognizes that it was Mitzi dressed up as a character.
Also
was
with
from
the
her
perfume?
Yeah.
No, we don't have this.
Really?
No. Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah. Like Stella's the one that's like, Mitzi. And she's like, how did you know? She's like, I could smell your cheap perfume for miles. Like.
Your version is so good for the character development.
Yeah. It's
nice.
It's a great, it's really tragic that they only were able to dub 3 seasons. Very sad. At the end of all of our rewatch episodes, we are, deciding what is the most Winx-tastic moment for the episode. And we're calling it the Winx Forever moment. So what would yours be for this episode?
No, there's...
It's too many.
Yeah, everything is... Maybe, I don't know. So difficult to choose.
It really is. It's tough.
Everything is different and really good, so...
Like, can we just call this just a Winx Forever episode? Like, because this is
please.
The whole episode, Like, it's so, like, when I think about Winx Club and I think about, growing up with it as a kid, I think about this episode because,
me too.
Like, this is the episode that I would rewatch all the time. Oh,
me too.
Man, it's so good.
Me too. When I want to share Winx Club with someone who don't know, I talk about this episode.
Yes, I know. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Yeah, but if I had to choose, if I had to if I was backed up in a corner by some witches and they made me choose, I would say that it's got to be the Downtown Magic's fight scene. Like, it's iconic. It's good. It's when the Tricks find out that Bloom has the Dragonfire. Like, it's the pinnacle. It's so good.
Good choice.
A runner-up would be, the whole library scene with Bloom, researching about Daphne. I love the classic Alfea library look. I hate that the library that they use after season 3 was that, tall, skinny tower library that they introduced in season 2. You know what I mean? Yeah, the archives.
Yeah.
Like that's what they use to research things after season 3. They don't ever go back to the original library, which is so sad because the original library is so cool.
Yeah, and also they say that this archive is secret, but
everyone seems to know about it.
Yeah, it's secret in every season. Like, wow, this is a new place. Oh, I didn't talk. I didn't hear about it before. Oh, wow. No.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, Bloom totally didn't give Darkard the codex in here. Yeah, totally. What is this place? That is so true. Oh my gosh, it pains me. Cool. Wow. Yeah, that is the end of this episode. Wow, so soon. Thank you so much, Romu, for coming on the show. Tell our listeners where they can find you and your content online.
Oh, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok if you want. And Romu Magic. And also, if you want to follow more Winx stuff, you can go on Winx Club France.
Yes.
Also on Instagram, TikTok.
Yes. Man, yes. Everything. Please go follow Winx Club France because the content that Romu produces is so good. So, wow, thank you for being on the show.
No, thank you for having me. I'm so happy. Really.
Merci de nous avoir écoutés. Si cet épisode du Winx Forever Podcast vous a plu et si vous souhaitez être informé des prochaines sorties, n'oubliez pas de vous abonner à l'émission sur la plateforme de streaming de votre choix. Rejoignez Winx Forever Podcast sur les réseaux sociaux. Si vous vous demandez quelle est la chanson du thème Winx Forever Podcast, il s'agit de She Makes Magic de Big Wild.